dream it all. Listen close and join my song. Gentle stories all night long. Snuggle in and rest your head. Magic dreams will now be spread. Close your eyes so calm and bright. Now begins our dream. Tonight, now begins our dream.
Lulu and the Star Painter's Garden. The night was warm and still, the kind of quiet that makes the world feel like it's holding its breath. Lulu walked through tall grass that shimmered faintly under a soft silver sky. Every step made the dew sparkle, tiny stars beneath her hooves. Far ahead, beyond a curve of moonlit hills, she saw a glow, not cold like starlight, but soft and golden, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. Curious, she followed. As she drew closer, the air began to change. The scent of blossoms drifted toward her, but these weren't ordinary flowers. Each one glowed with light instead of color, some blue, some white, some the palest gold. They grew in curved rows like constellations scattered across the ground. Lulu gasped softly, "A garden of stars?" A gentle voice replied, "Almost." From behind a tall cluster of glowing lilies stepped a figure, tall and slender, with fur the color of moonlight and eyes like calm water. In his paw, he held a brush that shimmered with faint light. "I'm Oren," he said, smiling gently. "I paint the sky every night before the world wakes." Lulu blinked in wonder. "You paint the stars?" He nodded. "Each one begins as a blossom here. When it's ready, I lift it from the earth and brush it into the heavens." Lulu looked around, her wool catching the golden glow. "It's beautiful, but why are some flowers dim?" Oren's smile faded slightly. "Lately, fewer stars are blooming. Some lose their light before I can send them up. I don't know why." Before Lulu could answer, a tiny flicker darted past her nose, a spark of warm light that danced in circles before landing on her head. "Oops, sorry," squeaked a small, cheerful voice. Lulu looked up and giggled. "You tickle." Hovering above her was a glowing little creature, a tiny glowwormchen, no bigger than a leaf. Its light pulsed gently with each word. "I'm Neva," it chirped proudly. "I help Oren make the blossoms bloom. Well, I used to, before my light got too small." Lulu tilted her head. "It doesn't look small to me." Neva twirled midair shyly. "That's kind of you to say. But lately, the sky doesn't want what I make." Oren looked up at the dimmer flowers. "The stars have been fading ever since the moon stopped singing." Lulu blinked. "The moon sings?" Every night, Neva whispered, but lately, she's gone quiet. A hush settled over the garden. Even the blossoms seemed to dim slightly, as though listening. Lulu looked up at the pale moon hanging above them. It glowed faintly, soft but weary. Then we'll go to her, Lulu said firmly. If she's silent, maybe she's just waiting for someone to listen. Neva's wings flickered brightly. You'd help us? Of course, Lulu said. The sky shouldn't lose its light. Oren set down his glowing brush and gazed toward the hills. Then we begin at dawn, though the stars will miss us. Lulu smiled gently. Then we'll bring them back something to shine for. The night breeze stirred the blossoms, and for a moment, every dim flower glowed just a little brighter, as if the stars themselves had heard and were smiling too. The next night, the garden slept beneath a pale sky. Lulu, Oren, and Neva stood at its edge, watching as the moon drifted low, her glow faint and weary. The wind carried no song, only the rustle of silver grass and the quiet hum of Oren's brush as he packed it carefully into a small satchel. Neva hovered near Lulu's ear, her light flickering like a tiny heartbeat. The moon hasn't sung in many nights, she whispered. When she stopped, the blossoms began to fade. Lulu gazed upward. Maybe she's lonely. Oren looked thoughtful. Or perhaps she's forgotten why she sang in the first place. The path ahead shimmered faintly, a ribbon of starlit dust winding up toward the high hills. Lulu took the first step, her hooves glowing where they touched the trail. Then we'll remind her. The climb was long, but gentle. As they walked, the world around them changed. The grass grew thinner, the air cooler, and soon the ground began to glow faintly with scattered fragments of starlight. Each piece hummed softly, a half-remembered note of an old melody. Neva landed on one, listening carefully. These are her echoes, she said, pieces of her voice that fell to earth. Lulu touched one gently with her hoof. The fragment glowed brighter for a moment and sang a single, trembling tone that faded quickly. She's still there, Lulu said softly. Just quiet. Oren lifted his brush and traced a small stroke in the air. Light followed his motion, forming a faint swirl of color. If we gather the echoes, he murmured, perhaps she'll hear herself again. The three of them began their work. Lulu found the fallen fragments hidden in the grass and carried them carefully in a small pouch Oren had given her. Neva flitted between them, her tiny glow guiding the way like a star reborn. Oren painted gentle lines of light to bind each piece together. When they had gathered many, the night wind began to hum, low at first, then rising into a soft tone that brushed their ears like silk. Neva gasped. She's listening. The fragments in Lulu's pouch pulsed in rhythm, each one singing faintly in response. The moon, still distant, flickered, her pale glow trembled like a heart unsure of its next beat. Lulu looked up and called softly, "Can you hear us?" For a moment, the night held its breath. Then a whisper drifted through the air, faint as dreamlight. "I hear you." Oren's eyes widened. It worked. The glow around the moon grew slightly stronger, and the starlit blossoms below began to shimmer again. But then, as quickly as it came, the light dimmed. The fragments in Lulu's pouch fell silent. Neva's light faltered. "She's fading again." Lulu frowned gently. "No, she's trying. She just needs more of her song." Oren nodded. "Then we must go higher, to the place where the first stars were born." He pointed toward a ridge where the sky seemed to touch the earth, glowing faintly with a silver mist. Neva hovered higher, determination flickering in her tiny wings. "Then let's find her voice before the stars forget how to shine." The three of them stepped onward, their light trailing behind like a quiet promise, leaving the star garden below to wait in hope. The path wound upward through soft clouds, the world below fading into a dreamlike sea of silver mist. Lulu's wool shimmered faintly, her breath warm in the cool night air. Beside her, Oren walked in silence, the tip of his brush glowing faintly with each thoughtful step. Neva darted ahead, her small light weaving between stones and petals like a living spark. "We're almost there," she called, her voice echoing faintly. "I can feel the sky breathing again." But as they reached the crest of the ridge, the glow around them dimmed. The stars above looked pale, like old memories losing color. Before them stretched a wide valley, a place of quiet beauty and deep sadness. It shimmered faintly, but its light was thin, faded. In the center stood a pool of still water reflecting the moon, or what was left of her. Her reflection trembled weakly on the surface, a faint outline of light that pulsed irregularly. Lulu stepped closer, her hooves barely making a sound. "This is where her song sleeps." Oren knelt beside the pool. "The echoes we gathered must be returned here." He opened his satchel, and the glowing fragments lifted into the air, spinning slowly over the water. Neva hovered beside them, her little wings trembling. "But the pool looks tired. Maybe it doesn't remember how to shine." Lulu looked down at her reflection, soft wool, gentle eyes, and behind her the faint shadow of the moon's broken light. "Then we'll help it remember." She took one of the glowing fragments and lowered it gently into the water. A single note rang out, clear and soft. The reflection rippled. Oren dipped his brush into the light and drew a small circle over the surface. "Every light needs its color," he murmured. With each stroke, faint hues appeared, silver turning to blue, blue to gold, gold to quiet white. The moon's reflection brightened slightly. The pool began to hum. Neva added her own glow, hovering close and letting tiny sparks fall like rain. The lights spread, joining the color, forming threads that reached upward toward the faint moon above. And then the wind stopped. For a heartbeat, the world was silent. Then a voice spoke, soft, tired, but beautiful. You've brought my song back to me. The moon's reflection shone brighter, rippling with gentle waves of light. Lulu's heart fluttered. We just listened. Listening, the moon whispered, is the beginning of every song. But then the ground trembled slightly. The water shivered. The light in the pool began to swirl too fast, pulling the fragments downward into a whirl of brightness. Neva squeaked. It's too strong. Oren reached out, trying to steady the current with his glowing brush, but the energy pushed him back. She's remembering too quickly. The moon's voice trembled. It's been too long. I can't hold it all. Lulu stepped forward without hesitation. Then let us hold it with you. Her wool shimmered as she leaned close to the water, her reflection merging with the light. The fragments slowed, responding to her calm. Neva added her soft glow, and Oren painted one long, steady stroke across the surface, binding the colors together like a heartbeat finding rhythm. Slowly, the chaos stilled. The light settled into calm ripples again, glowing steadily. Above them, the moon pulsed softly, no longer trembling, but breathing. Her voice returned, now stronger, warm like a lullaby. Thank you, little ones. You've reminded me that even silence can bloom again. Lulu smiled softly, and when you sing, the stars will listen. The moon glowed brighter in response, sending a wave of light across the valley. The faded stars above flickered, then began to shine anew, each one waking like a dream remembered. Neva twirled midair with joy. Look! The sky is painting itself again. Oren's eyes shone, his silver brush glowing brighter than ever. Then the garden will bloom once more. They stood together in the gentle light, the fox, the firefly, and the little sheep watching as the sky remembered how to shine. Light drifted gently through the valley like falling petals. The stars above shimmered brighter with every passing moment, their glow spreading across the heavens in graceful ripples. For the first time in many nights, the world seemed to hum again, quietly, peacefully. Lulu lifted her gaze to the moon. Her light was soft but strong now, and a faint melody drifted from her glow, a lullaby of silver tones, calm and warm. She's singing again, Neva whispered in awe, her little wings glowing brighter with each note. Oren smiled faintly, his brush resting against his shoulder. The stars will follow her song. They always have. As they watched, tiny lights began to bloom in the sky, new stars, one after another, lighting up the darkness. Each one formed from the glowing fragments they had gathered. Each a voice returned to the great chorus of night. But as the sky brightened, Oren's expression grew thoughtful. The light, it's changing. Lulu blinked. Changing how? He pointed upward. Some of the new stars were not holding steady. Their glow flickered, fading and returning, as if unsure whether they belonged. "They're afraid," Neva murmured softly. "They've been silent for too long." Lulu stepped closer to the glowing pool, her reflection joining the stars above. Then maybe they need someone to remind them they're not alone. She took a breath and began to hum. It wasn't a song she knew. It was simply the melody her heart carried, shaped by every dream she had listened to, every silence she had filled. Her voice was soft and trembling at first, then steady, gentle, true. The stars flickered in rhythm with her tune. Neva joined in, her tiny voice sparkling like drops of light, and Oren lifted his brush once more, painting arcs of color through the air, silver turning to rose, gold melting into twilight blue. Together, their harmony spread through the valley, reaching the moon, the hills, and the quiet garden far below. Then something beautiful happened. From across the horizon, lights began to rise, faint glows from rivers, mountains, forests, reflections of people, animals, and dreams that had once looked up and hoped. Their wishes rose like lanterns, drawn to the moon's new song. Neva's wings fluttered with excitement. They're remembering her. The moon's light pulsed warmly in reply. "And I will remember them." The stars steadied, their flicker replaced by a deep, even glow. Oren lowered his brush, his silver eyes soft. The sky is whole again. Lulu turned to him, her voice calm and warm. "And so is your garden." Oren smiled faintly. "When I return, I'll plant every star we saved tonight. They'll grow brighter than before because now they know what it means to be missed." The wind brushed past them, gentle, full of whispers that sounded like laughter. The valley glowed, and for a long moment, everything stood still, bathed in quiet light. Neva landed on Lulu's nose and smiled, her tiny face glowing. "You did it, Lulu." Lulu shook her head with a giggle. "We did it, all of us." The moon's song continued, soft and endless, weaving through the night like a heartbeat. And above them, the stars whispered their gratitude, not in words, but in light. By the time the first shades of morning touched the horizon, the valley of light had quieted again, not from loss, but from peace. The stars shimmered softly in the pale sky, their glow gentle now, resting after their long awakening. Lulu stood beside the still pool where the moon's reflection glowed faintly gold, like dawn caught in silver water. Neva perched on her head, half asleep, her wings flickering every few seconds in drowsy little bursts of light. Oren packed his glowing brush carefully into his satchel, the tip fading as if it too needed rest. "The night has learned to breathe again," he said quietly. Lulu smiled. "And the moon has her song." Oren nodded. "Yes, but it's your voice that showed her how to begin again." Lulu shook her head. It wasn't my voice. It was the listening. For a while, they simply stood there. No one spoke. No one needed to. The sky began to brighten with the first color of dawn, a faint lavender mixed with silver, stretching across the edge of the world. Then, far below, something sparkled. The garden, Neva whispered, suddenly wide awake. Look! Down in the valley where the glowing flowers grew, new blossoms had opened, hundreds of them, their light vibrant and steady. They weren't just silver or gold anymore. They bloomed in soft blues, gentle violets, and warm rose hues, colors that had never existed in the star garden before. Oren's eyes widened. They're new constellations. He murmured, "The sky is teaching the earth how to shine." Neva zipped around happily. "And it's beautiful." Lulu looked at the garden for a long moment, her will catching the reflection of all those lights. "Maybe that's what light really is," she said softly. "Not something we keep, but something we share." The moon hung low on the horizon now, humming softly in farewell as she slipped toward her day's rest. Her voice was calm, serene, grateful. "Thank you, little ones. You have given the sky its heart again." Lulu bowed her head gently. "And you've given us your song." A soft warmth spread across the valley, touching the flowers, the trees, the river, and finally them. The breeze that moved through the garden carried the faintest sound of starlight, a promise that every silence, someday, would bloom again. Oren smiled. "When night returns, the stars will know their way home." Neva twirled happily in the air. "And I'll help them shine." Lulu giggled, her voice as soft as the dawn. "Then I guess we'll meet again, under another sky." The first sunlight touched their faces. The stars faded, not in sorrow, but in peace. The moon's glow lingered just a moment longer, like a farewell caress, before slipping away beyond the hills. Lulu turned toward the valley below, where the star garden shimmered like a dream being gently folded back into the world. "It's beautiful when night remembers," she whispered. And as the morning breeze played through her wool, she heard a faint hum, not of words, but of promise. The song of the stars, alive once more.
Now it's quiet, night is near. Drift away through stars so clear. Lulu whispers soft and bright. Sleep so well and good night. Sweetest dreams will softly flow. Lulu stays with you, you know, till we meet again, my dear. Let your dreams keep drawing near. Till we meet again, my dear. Let your dreams keep drawing